The celestial academy of Prime stood like a mountain of glass and light against the purple sky. Its towers reached toward the 3 moons that hung above the alien world. For 3,000 years, this place had taught the children of the galaxy's most powerful families. Princes and princesses of distant empires walked these halls. Sons and daughters of admirals and governors studied in these classrooms. The academy was old, proud, and very sure of its own importance. Humans had only been allowed to attend for 2 years. Earth had joined the Galactic Concord recently, and many alien species still did not know what to think of these strange new creatures. Humans were small. They lived short lives. They came from a single planet at the edge of the galaxy. Most aliens looked at humans and saw nothing special at all. Was walking through the crystal corridors of the Academy's East Wing. She was 19 years old, with dark hair pulled back in a simple ponytail and brown eyes that watched everything around her with quiet attention. She wore plain clothes, the kind that students with no money wore. No jewelry, no fancy fabrics, nothing that would make anyone look twice at her. She was short, even by human standards. Among the aliens of the Academy, she looked almost like a child. Most species here stood 7 or 8 feet tall. Their bodies were built for beauty or for war. They had scales and feathers and skin that changed colors. Had none of these things. She was just a human girl walking alone through a hallway. She had come to the Academy on a merit scholarship. Her grades in xenobiology had been the highest on Earth, and the Galactic Concord had offered her a place among the stars. Her family was not rich or famous. Her mother was a scientist. Her father was a military man, retired now, living quietly on Earth. Nobody at the Academy knew their names or cared about them. Liked it this way. She did not want attention. She wanted to learn about alien life forms, finish her studies, and return home. The politics of the Academy did not interest her. The social games that the wealthy students played seemed like a waste of time. She kept her head down and did her work. The East Wing was quiet today. Most students were in classes or in the recreation areas on the other side of the campus, had taken a wrong turn somewhere, and now she found herself in a corridor she did not recognize. The walls here were darker. The lights were fewer. Signs in alien languages warned that this area was restricted to administrative staff. She stopped and looked around, trying to figure out which way to go. She should turn back. That was the smart thing to do. But there was a door ahead that looked like it might lead to the main courtyard, and she was already late for her afternoon lecture. She walked toward the door. Elle saw her from 20 meters away. He was one of the Academy's security guards. His people were bred for violence. They stood 7 feet tall and had 4 arms, each one thick with muscle. Their skin was covered in dark green scales that could stop a blade. Their eyes were yellow and cold, like the eyes of a predator. Elle had worked at the Academy for 15 years. He had never liked humans. They were too soft, too weak, too small. They smiled too much and talked too quickly. They had no scales, no claws, no natural weapons of any kind. In Elle's opinion, they did not belong among the stars. And now one of them was walking through the restricted administrative wing like she owned the place. He moved toward her with heavy steps. His boots struck the floor like drums. The human girl heard him coming and turned around. Her eyes went wide when she saw him. Good. She should be afraid. Stop, Elle commanded. His voice was deep and rough, like stones grinding together. The human girl stopped. She held up her hands in a gesture of peace. I am sorry, she said. I got lost. I was trying to find the main courtyard. Elle did not care about her excuses. Humans all looked the same to him. This one was probably a servant who had wandered away from her duties, or maybe she was a thief looking for something to steal. Either way, she did not belong here. He reached out with one of his 4 arms and grabbed her by the upper arm. His clawed fingers wrapped around her flesh and squeezed. He was not gentle. He did not see any reason to be gentle with a creature so weak. Vermin do not wander these halls, he growled. I will take you to detention processing. They will decide what to do with you." The human girl winced in pain. Elle could feel her arm bruising under his grip. Such fragile things, these humans. He could break her bones without even trying. "Please," she said. "You are hurting me. I am a student here. My name is, I am in the xenobiology program. You can check the records." Elle squeezed harder. "I do not care about your name. I do not care about your program. You are in a restricted area without permission. That is all that matters." He started to drag her toward the security station. She stumbled, trying to keep up with his long strides. Other guards would laugh when they saw what he had caught. A tiny human girl, wandering where she should not be. It was almost sad. Then something changed. The human girl stopped stumbling. She stopped trying to pull away. She planted her feet on the floor and stood still. Elle felt a strange resistance, like trying to move a stone that was heavier than it looked. He turned to look at her. Her face had changed. The fear was gone. The pain was gone. Her brown eyes had become flat and empty, like windows into a dark room. Something moved behind those eyes, something old and patient and very, very dangerous. "You have 3 seconds to release me," she said. Her voice was quiet and calm. There was no anger in it, no fear, nothing at all. "This is your only warning." Elle stared at her. For a moment, he felt something strange in his chest. It was a feeling he had not experienced in many years. It took him a moment to recognize it. It was doubt. Then he laughed. The sound echoed through the empty corridor. A human girl was threatening him. A creature half his size with no claws, no scales, no weapons. It was the funniest thing he had heard in years. 3 seconds, he said, still laughing. "Or what, little human, what will you do to me?" The human girl looked at him with those empty eyes. "Time is up," she said. And then she moved. Elle's species had 2 hearts. They beat in sequence, one after the other, pumping thick blood through his massive body. The measured time by heartbeats. It was how they understood the world. Fast things happened in few heartbeats. Slow things took many. What happened next took only 10. The first heartbeat came as Elle finished laughing. His grip was still tight on the human girl's arm. He was not worried. He had fought many creatures in his life and he had never lost. This small, soft thing could not possibly hurt him. The second heartbeat came as he noticed something wrong. The human girl was not trying to pull away anymore. She was not struggling at all. Instead, she was stepping closer to him, moving into his space. Prey did not do this. Prey ran away. The third heartbeat brought pain. The human girl's free hand shot forward like a striking snake. Her fingers were pressed together, forming a point. She drove this point into his throat, into the soft gap between his neck scales where his breathing tube lay close to the surface. The strike was not hard enough to kill him, but it was hard enough to collapse his airway. Elle could not breathe. He opened his mouth to roar, but no sound came out. His lungs tried to pull in air, but nothing moved. Panic flooded his brain. He had never felt this helpless before. The fourth heartbeat came as he tried to understand what was happening. How did she know where to strike? How did she move so fast? Humans were supposed to be slow and clumsy. This human was neither of those things. The fifth heartbeat brought more pain. The human girl used his grip on her arm against him. She did not try to break free. Instead, she twisted her whole body, rotating in a way that seemed impossible. Human joints were different from joints. They could bend in directions that his bones could not follow. She was using his own strength as a weapon. His grip on her arm became a lever. His elbow, designed to resist pressure from the front and the back, suddenly faced pressure from the side. It was a direction his bones had never been built to handle. The sixth heartbeat brought the sound of breaking. His elbow joint shattered like glass. 300 years of breeding, generations of warriors designed for combat, and this small human girl had found his weakness in seconds. Pain exploded through his arm, white and blinding. He released her. He had no choice. His right arms, both of them, hung useless at his side. The lower arm was connected to the upper arm, and when one broke, the other lost its support. Two of his forearms were gone just like that. The seventh heartbeat came as El tried to fight back. He swung with his left arms, both of them at once. It was a powerful blow, strong enough to crush stone. If it landed, it would destroy her. It did not land. The human girl ducked under his swing with a speed he could not follow. She did not move like the combat students at the academy, who practiced formal techniques and followed strict rules. She moved like water, like smoke, like something that had been fighting for survival since the beginning of time. The eighth heartbeat brought him to his knees. She struck him twice, fast and precise. Her hands hit nerve clusters on his sides, places where his scales were thin and his flesh was soft. These were spots that only doctors knew about. These were spots that should have been secret. His legs stopped working. The signals from his brain could not reach his muscles. He collapsed, all 7 feet of him crashing down onto the crystal floor. His face was now level with hers. He could see her eyes clearly for the first time. The ninth heartbeat came as he waited for death. She would kill him now. That was what predators did. They defeated their prey and then they finished the job. He had done the same thing many times himself. He understood how this worked. But the human girl did not kill him. She simply stood there, looking at him with those flat, empty eyes. She was not breathing hard. She was not sweating. She had just defeated a warrior in hand-to-hand combat, and she looked like she had done nothing more difficult than opening a door. The 10th heartbeat came, and El finally understood. He had made a terrible mistake. "I warned you," the human girl said. Her voice was still quiet, still calm. There was no pride in it, no joy. She had not enjoyed hurting him. She had simply done what was necessary. El tried to speak, but his throat was still damaged. He could only make a wet, rasping sound. His forearms lay useless around him. His legs would not move. He was completely helpless. The human girl looked at him for a moment longer. Then she turned and started to walk away. That was when El noticed the crowd. Students had gathered at both ends of the corridor. They stood in groups, their alien faces showing shock and disbelief. Some of them were recording the scene with their devices. Others were simply staring, their mouths open, their eyes wide. Faculty members were there too. El recognized Professor Han, who taught advanced physics. He recognized Dean, who ran the medical program. They were all watching. They had all seen what had just happened. A security guard, one of the most feared warriors in the galaxy, had been defeated by a human girl. Not just defeated, humiliated, destroyed, in 10 heartbeats. The crowd parted as the human girl walked through them. No one tried to stop her. No one said a word. They simply moved out of her way, giving her space, showing respect that El had never seen anyone show to a human before. One of the students, a young male with blue skin and silver eyes, leaned down to look at El. There was fear in his face, real fear, the kind of fear that changed how you saw the world. 10 heartbeats, the whispered. She did all that in 10 heartbeats. El closed his eyes. His throat was starting to heal, but his pride never would. He had thought humans were weak. He had thought they were harmless. He had thought they were nothing. He had been wrong. The other security guards arrived a few minutes later. They found El still lying on the floor, unable to move. They had to carry him to the medical bay. The doctors told him that his arm would never be the same. The bones had been broken in a very specific way, a way that prevented proper healing. The human girl had known exactly what she was doing. Every strike, every movement, every decision had been calculated and precise. She had not fought with anger or fear. She had fought with knowledge and skill, and a cold efficiency that made El's blood run cold. He lay in the medical bay, staring at the ceiling, and he asked himself a question that would haunt him for years. What else did humans know that the galaxy did not understand? Dean had ruled the Celestial Academy for 300 years. He was a a species known for their long lives and their deep wisdom. His body was thin and tall, covered in silver feathers that had turned white with age. His eyes were large and dark, and they had seen more history than most species could imagine. In 3 centuries, very few things had surprised him. He had watched empires rise and fall. He had seen wars begin and end. He had guided thousands of students through their education, watching them grow from children into leaders. But today he was surprised. The security team had surrounded the human girl in the main courtyard. 20 guards, all of them armed, all of them pointing their weapons at this small creature who stood calmly in the center of their circle. She did not try to run. She did not try to fight. She simply waited, her hands at her sides, her face showing no emotion at all. Arrived with his staff behind him, the crowd of students and faculty parted to let him through. He walked slowly, his old bones aching with every step, until he stood at the edge of the circle. He looked at the human girl. She looked back at him. "You are," he said. It was not a question. "Yes," she replied. "You injured one of my security guards. He grabbed me without my permission. He would not let go when I asked him to. I defended myself." Studied her face. There was no guilt there, no fear, no anger. She spoke like someone who had done nothing wrong because she truly believed she had done nothing wrong. He turned to one of his assistants. "Bring me her file." The assistant's fingers moved over a data pad. "Which file, Dean?" "Her student record." "No," said quietly, "the other one." The assistant's face went pale. She knew what he meant. Every species that joined the Galactic Concord had 2 files. The first was public, shared with everyone, full of basic information about their biology and culture. The second was classified, available only to high-ranking officials, containing the truth about what each species was really capable of. The assistant found the file and handed the data pad to. He began to read. The first page contained basic facts about humans. They came from a planet called Earth, a small world in a quiet corner of the galaxy. They had only achieved space travel a few decades ago. Their technology was primitive compared to most species. They were short, usually less than 100 years. The second page made stop breathing. Earth's gravity was 40% stronger than the galactic average. This meant that every human, from birth to death, lived under a constant weight that most species would find crushing. Their bones were denser than iron. Their muscles were built to work against forces that would kill other creatures. When humans came to normal gravity worlds, they were stronger than they should be. Much stronger. The third page was worse. Humans were persistent predators. This was a hunting strategy that almost no other species used. Most predators relied on speed or strength or ambush tactics. They caught their prey quickly or they gave up and tried again later. Humans did not work this way. Humans chased their prey for hours, sometimes days, following at a steady pace until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. They did not need to be faster or stronger than their food. They simply needed to be more patient. The fourth page made feel cold. Humans had been fighting each other for their entire history. They had wars and battles and conflicts going back thousands of years. Every generation of humans had grown up learning how to hurt other humans. They had developed thousands of ways to cause pain and death. They had turned violence into an art form. Other species had wars, of course, but most species fought over resources or territory, and they stopped when the fighting became too costly. Humans fought over ideas, over beliefs, over pride. They fought even when it made no sense to fight. They fought until one side was completely destroyed. The fifth page explained why the Galactic Concord had been so eager to accept humans as allies. It was not because humans had anything valuable to offer. It was not because humans were advanced or sophisticated or useful. It was because the Concord was terrified of what would happen if humans became enemies instead. Lowered the data pad. He looked at the human girl standing in the circle of guards. She was so small, so ordinary looking. Nothing about her appearance suggested danger. Nothing about her face suggested power. But he knew the truth now. He understood. Every human was a weapon. Every single one of them, from the oldest to the youngest, carried the genetic memory of 10,000 years of warfare. They had evolved on a planet that was trying to kill them. They had survived by becoming the most dangerous creatures in their world. And they had learned to hide it. "Lower your weapons," commanded. The guards hesitated. Their commander, a tall named X, stepped forward. "Dean, this human attacked one of our officers. She must be detained and questioned." "Your officer attacked her first," replied. "He grabbed her without cause. He ignored her warnings. He hurt her. Everything she did after that was self-defense." "But Dean," I said, "lower your weapons." The guards obeyed. The circle opened. Stood alone, looking at the Dean with those calm, patient eyes. Walked toward her. He stopped a few feet away, close enough to speak quietly. "I have read your file, miss, your real file." Something flickered in her eyes. Recognition, understanding. "Then you know," she said. "I know that you could have killed Elle. You chose not to." "I do not kill unless I have to. My father taught me that." "Your father," nodded slowly. "Colonel, veteran of the Martian insurgency, one of Earth's most decorated soldiers." His expression did not change. "He is retired now." "But he trained you." "Since I was 4 years old." Was silent for a long moment. He thought about what he had read in the file. He thought about what he had seen in the corridor recording. He thought about the look on Elle's face as he lay broken on the floor. "On behalf of the Celestial Academy," he said finally, "I apologize for the actions of our security staff. Elle will be removed from his position. A formal apology will be sent to Earth's embassy. You will receive compensation for your injuries." Looked at him for a moment, then she nodded, "Thank you. You may return to your dormitory. Your classes will continue as normal." She started to walk away. Then she stopped and turned back. "Dean." "Yes." "You should probably update the training for your security staff. Teach them to recognize threats more accurately." She paused. "Humans are not the only dangerous species that looks harmless. You should not judge anyone by their size." She walked away through the crowd, which parted before her like water around a stone. The students watched her go. The faculty watched her go. The guards watched her go. No one said a word. Stood in the courtyard, holding the data pad with the classified file, and he thought about the future. Humans were new to the galaxy. There were billions of them on Earth, and more spreading to colonies across the stars. The galaxy would have to learn to live with them. And more importantly, the galaxy would have to learn not to underestimate them. Not ever again. 1 week passed. Elle sat in a small room in the lower levels of the academy, packing his belongings into a box. There was not much to pack. A few uniforms, some personal items, a medal he had earned 30 years ago for stopping an assassination attempt. The medal meant nothing now. His career was over. The academy had discharged him, removed his security clearance, and taken away everything he had worked for. The official reason was failure to follow proper procedures. The real reason was that he had embarrassed the institution by being defeated by a human girl in front of witnesses. His clan had disowned him too. The respected strength above all else. A warrior who lost a fight could recover. A warrior who lost to a creature half his size with no weapons in 10 heartbeats could not. Elle's name had been removed from the clan records. His family would not speak to him. His children would not acknowledge him. He was alone. His right arm still hurt. The doctors had done their best, but the bones had been broken in a way that prevented proper healing. The human girl had known exactly how to damage him so that he would never fully recover. She had not just defeated him, she had marked him. He closed the box and carried it out of the building. The academy's grounds spread out before him, beautiful and peaceful in the light of the 3 moons. Students walked along the crystal pathways, talking and laughing, living their lives without any idea of the darkness that existed in the galaxy. El walked toward the main gate. He would leave this place and never return. He did not know where he would go or what he would do. He had been a warrior his whole life. Without that, he was nothing. He found the human girl in the academy gardens. She was sitting on a bench near a fountain that sprayed water in patterns that changed with the music playing from hidden speakers. Her eyes were closed. Her face was peaceful. She looked like any other student, taking a moment to rest between classes. El stopped at the edge of the garden. He should leave. He should walk away and forget about her. But he could not. He had questions that needed answers. He had spent the last week thinking about what had happened, and he still did not understand. He walked toward her. His heavy footsteps announced his approach. The human girl opened her eyes and watched him come closer. She did not look afraid. She did not look angry. She simply watched, the same way a predator watches movement in the grass. El stopped a few meters away. He did not want to get closer. He had learned his lesson about underestimating this creature. "I did not come to fight," he said. His voice was rough from a week of silence. "I know," she replied. "If you wanted to fight, you would not have walked so loudly." They looked at each other for a long moment. The fountain made soft, splashing sounds. The music played its gentle melody. The 3 moons hung in the purple sky. "Why?" El asked finally. "That is all I want to know. Why?" "Why what? Why are you the way you are?" He struggled to find the right words. "You are so small, so soft. You have no claws, no scales, no poison, no natural weapons. By every measure you should be weak. But you defeated me in 10 heartbeats. How is that possible?" The human girl considered his question. She looked at him with those brown eyes that had become so cold and empty during their fight. Now they were warm again, curious, almost kind. "Sit down," she said, gesturing to the other end of the bench. El hesitated, then he sat. The bench creaked under his weight. "You think we are soft," the human girl said. "Everyone thinks that, but you are wrong. We are not soft. We are compressed." "Compressed?" "Held back, controlled." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "Every human you have ever seen is holding back. We have to. If we did not, we would break everything around us." El did not understand. His confusion must have shown on his face, because the human girl smiled slightly. "Your people evolved on a paradise world," she continued. "Gentle gravity, stable climate, predictable seasons, plenty of food, few natural disasters. Your ancestors did not have to struggle to survive. They had time to become civilized, to build cities and develop technology without worrying about being killed by their own planet." She looked up at the 3 moons. "Earth is different. Earth is what scientists call our gravity is crushing. Our climate changes without warning. We have earthquakes, volcanoes, hurricanes, floods, ice ages. We have diseases that can kill millions in months. We have predators that hunt us and prey that fights back, and plants that poison us if we eat the wrong leaf." She turned back to El. "And we have each other." "What do you mean?" "Humans have been fighting humans for as long as we have existed. We kill each other over land, over food, over ideas, over things that do not even make sense. Every generation of humans learns from the generation before how to hurt other humans. We have spent 10,000 years becoming very, very good at violence." El felt a chill run down his spine. The human girl was not bragging. She was not threatening. She was simply stating facts, the same way someone might explain how a machine worked. "So when we meet other species," she continued, "we smile, we act friendly, we pretend to be harmless. Because we learned a long time ago that cooperation is better than conquest. Fighting costs too much. It is easier to be kind, to make friends, to work together." She held up one hand, small and soft and completely ordinary looking. "But make no mistake, every human is a loaded weapon with the safety on. We are always ready. We are always watching. And when someone threatens us, when someone hurts us, when someone gives us no other choice, the safety comes off." She looked at Elle with those eyes that could become so cold. "You grabbed me. You hurt me. You ignored my warning, so the safety came off. For 10 heartbeats, I was not a friendly student from a primitive planet. I was what my species has always been underneath. I was a predator from using 10,000 years of violence against a threat that needed to be stopped." Elle was silent. He looked at the human girl, this small creature who had destroyed his life, and he finally understood. She had not beaten him because she was stronger or faster or better trained. She had beaten him because her entire species had been forged in fire. Every human alive carried the weight of their planet's brutal history. Every human alive was descended from survivors who had faced death and won. He had never had a chance. "Why did you not kill me?" he asked. "Because you were not a real threat," she said simply. "You were a fool who made a mistake. Killing you would have been wasteful. Hurting you was enough to make you stop." Elle nodded slowly. In culture, mercy was seen as weakness, but this was not mercy. This was efficiency. She had used exactly as much force as she needed and not one bit more. It was, he realized, the most terrifying thing about her. "What will you do now?" she asked. Elle looked at his box of belongings. "I do not know. My career is over. My clan has abandoned me. I have nothing left." The human girl was quiet for a moment. Then she stood up. "The academy is always looking for groundskeepers," she said. "The work is hard and the pay is low, but it is honest work. And maybe, if you do it well, you can build a new life." She started to walk away. Then she stopped and looked back at him. "Everyone makes mistakes, Elle. What matters is what you do after." She left him sitting alone in the garden with his box of belongings and his broken arm and his ruined pride. The fountain splashed. The music played. The 3 moons shone down from the purple sky. Elle thought about what she had said, about humans, about weapons with safeties and predators who smiled. For the first time in his life, he understood why the Galactic Conquered had welcomed humans so eagerly. It was not kindness. It was not generosity. It was fear. The galaxy was afraid of humans, and after what Elle had experienced, he could not blame them. 3 months passed. The seasons changed on Prime, bringing cooler air and darker skies. The Academy continued its ancient work of teaching the galaxy's children, just as it had for 3,000 years. But something was different now. Something had changed. No one touched human students without permission anymore. It was not a written rule. The dean had not made any announcements. The faculty had not held any meetings. But everyone knew. The story of what had happened in the East Wing corridor had spread through the academy like fire through dry grass. Every student, every faculty member, every staff worker had heard about the human girl who had defeated a guard in 10 heartbeats. The video had been shared millions of times across the galactic networks. Species that had never met a human watched it and discussed it and wondered about it. News programs analyzed the fight, frame by frame, explaining how a creature so small had overcome a creature so large. Military experts studied her techniques, trying to understand what she had done and how she had done it. Had become famous without wanting to be famous. She did not like the attention. She had come to the academy to study xenobiology, not to become a symbol of human capability. But she could not undo what had happened. She could only move forward. Her life had changed in small ways. Students who had ignored her before now nodded to her in the hallways. Professors who had treated her as ordinary now looked at her with something like respect. No one was rude to her. No one dismissed her. No one made assumptions about what she could or could not do. She missed being invisible, but she understood that those days were over. The other human students had benefited from her fame as well. There were 23 humans at the academy now, more than ever before. Engineers and scientists and artists, all of them chosen from Earth's best, and, before, They had been treated as curiosities, strange creatures from a strange world. Now they were treated as equals. Not because anyone thought they were friends, but because everyone was afraid of what might happen if they were enemies. On the day the new exchange students arrived, was studying in the library. She had an exam in xenobiology the next morning, and she wanted to review her notes one more time. The library was quiet, filled with the soft sounds of data pads and the distant hum of environmental systems. Through the window, she could see the main courtyard where the new students were gathering. There were aliens from a dozen different species, all of them young and nervous, and excited to begin their education at the most prestigious institution in the galaxy. Among them, she spotted 3 humans, easy to recognize by their small size and their careful movements. She watched them for a moment. They looked so young, so innocent. They had no idea what they were walking into or what expectations they would face. She hoped they would be okay. In the courtyard, a scene was developing. One of the new students, a young male with blue skin and silver eyes, was talking to his friends in a voice loud enough to carry. Were known for their arrogance. They believed themselves to be the most beautiful and most advanced species in the galaxy. They had been part of the galactic conquered for thousands of years, and they looked down on newer species with obvious contempt. This particular was pointing at one of the human students, a young woman with red hair who looked barely 18. He was laughing, saying something that made his friends laugh too. The human woman's face went red with embarrassment or anger or both. They reached out to grab her arm. A shadow fell across him. He looked up to find a massive figure standing between him and the human student. The figure was 7 feet tall with 4 arms and green scales, but something was wrong with this. One of his arms hung at a strange angle, damaged and poorly healed. His clothes were the simple uniform of a groundskeeper, not the armor of a guard. His eyes were tired and old. It was L. He had taken the human girl's advice. He had applied for a job as a groundskeeper at the academy. The work was hard and the pay was low, just as she had said. But it was honest work. It gave him a purpose. It gave him a reason to keep going. And it let him watch over the human students who came to this place, the same way he had once watched over the academy itself. "I would not do that," Elle said quietly to The silver eyes narrowed. "Who are you to tell me what to do? You are just a groundskeeper, a servant." "I am someone who learned a lesson the hard way." Elle lifted his damaged arm, showing the twisted bones that had never healed properly. 10 heartbeats. That is how long it took a human to do this to me. A human smaller than you, smaller than her. He pointed at the red-haired woman, who was watching the exchange with wide eyes. "You see them and you think they are weak," Elle continued. "You see their size and their soft skin and their lack of natural weapons, and you assume they are harmless. I made the same assumption once. I was wrong." The looked at Elle's arm. He looked at the human woman. He looked at his friends who had stopped laughing. "They call Eartha," Elle said, "a planet that tries to kill everything that lives on it. Humans did not just survive that world. They conquered it. They became the most dangerous predators their planet had ever seen. And now they are here among us, wearing smiles and offering friendship." He leaned closer to They are being nice because they choose to be nice. Do not make them choose something else." There was silent for a long moment. Then he stepped back, away from the human woman, away from Elle. His face had lost some of its color. "I meant no offense," he said quietly. "Then we have no problem." They turned and walked away, his friends following behind him. The red-haired human woman looked at Elle with surprise and gratitude. "Thank you," she said. Elle shook his head. "Thank your people. They taught the galaxy a lesson it needed to learn." He walked away, leaving the new students to their orientation. His damaged arm ached as it always did. His pride was still broken, as it would always be, but he had found a new purpose in his life. He was no longer a warrior. He was a warning. From the library window, watched the whole exchange. She saw Elle stop the. She saw the fear in the young alien's eyes. She saw her former enemy walk away with the slow, steady pace of someone who had made peace with his past. A small smile crossed her face. 3 months ago, Elle had been her enemy. He had grabbed her, hurt her, forced her to defend herself. Now he was protecting other humans from making the same mistake he had made. He had learned. He had changed. He had become something better than he was before. That was the power of humans realized, not their strength or their speed or their fighting skills. Their real power was their ability to change things, to adapt, to turn enemies into allies or at least into people who knew better than to start fights. She returned to her studies. She had an exam tomorrow and she wanted to do well. The galaxy was vast and ancient and filled with wonders that she wanted to understand. She was just one human, small and ordinary and easily overlooked. But she had earned her place among the stars, not by being the strongest or the fastest or the most advanced, not by conquering anyone or proving anything. She had earned it by being underestimated, by letting others think she was weak until the moment when strength was needed, by showing the galaxy what humans were truly capable of, and then going back to her normal life as if nothing had happened. That was the human way. Smile, be friendly, make allies instead of enemies, but always, always be ready for the moment when the safety comes off. The galaxy was learning to understand humans. Slowly, one lesson at a time, one 10-heartbeat encounter at a time. Someday, perhaps, there would be no more misunderstandings, no more else grabbing human arms in empty corridors, no more assumptions about what small creatures could or could not do. Until that day, humans would keep doing what they had always done. They would survive. They would adapt. They would smile at the galaxy while carrying the weight of 10,000 years of violence in their gentle hands. And the galaxy would learn, as Elle had learned, that there was no such thing as just a human. Not ever,